I also starting in 3.5 for the college algebra. This deals with systems of equations. All right, Ashley, that'll work. And also 3.5 deals with systems of equations. All right, so on our systems equation, I keep getting a chat. Y'all hang on a second. All righty. To solve our systems equation, we're going to solve by what we call elimination method. But we'll start out with two equations with two variables. Then we'll step into three equations with three variables. So we're going to solve by elimination method. So now y'all keep getting more in. Let me get this one in. So to eliminate a variable, I'm going to add the two equations together. And my goal is to eliminate one of the two variables, okay? So we eliminate the variables. We choose by adding the two equations together. Now, it may be necessary to change one or both of those equations. So it may be necessary to change one or both of the equations to eliminate the variable. So y'all, after I've eliminated one of my variables, I'm then going to solve for the remaining variable. Once I got that remaining variable solved for, I'm then going to back substitute. So I'm going to back substitute the known variable into either of the two original equations I can pick whichever one of those two equations I started with to back substitute in. So I'm going to back substitute my known variable into either of the two original equations and solve for the remaining variable. Now, since these are equations, if you want to, you can check your answers if needed. So to check it, I would plug both my answers into either one of the equations, plug in for the X and Y on one of those equations, and evaluate it and make sure I get a true statement. Remember, a true statement on an equation would be something like 5 equals 5, negative 10 equals negative 10 or something like that. Now, once we got our two variables solved for, we're going to write the answer as an ordered pair. And y'all remember ordered pairs come in this form, a X and a Y. Now, I'm going to do a few of these with two variables, and then I'll actually show you how you can do these on the calculator using the matrix. So let me pull that down a little. So y'all, for our first one, we're going to solve by elimination. So our two equations are going to be 6x plus 9y equals negative 24. Our second equation is 2x minus 9y equals negative 32. So there's my system of equations with two variables. I got the x variable and the y variable. Now, this one's pretty straightforward as to which variable I'm about to eliminate, right? If I was to add those together right now, the x's to the x's, the y's to the y's, and the number to the number, what variable is going to be eliminated pretty quick? Well, y'all look at them nines. I got a plus 9 here and a negative 9 here for my y. So when I add these two equations together, the 9s are going to cancel out. So for this one, they're sort of baby stepping us into these. So for this one, we're going to eliminate the y variable. And we don't have to change neither one of our equations because I got a positive 9 and a negative 9. So let's add these together and eliminate the y. So y'all, I got 6x's plus 2x's. That's going to give me 8x. The y's cancel. And then that negative 24 and negative 32 give me a negative 56. So we eliminated the y. We now have one variable left. So we said right here, solve for that remaining variable. So y'all, at this point, we're going to solve for x. So 8x equals my negative 56. The only thing we got to do to solve for that x, and usually on this step, all you're going to do is divide, right? Because you're going to have a number and a variable equal to a number. So this step, we're always going to divide by the 8. So all them 8s cancel, giving me my 1x like I wanted. And then our, what's that, negative 56 over 8 gives me what, a negative 7. So I now know that the x equals negative 7. So now we're going to come over here and back substitute. Now I can choose either equation. I can choose 6x plus 9y equals negative 24. Or I could choose the 2x minus 9y equals negative 32. So I really like to keep all my stuff positive if I can. So I'm going to substitute into the first equation. So I got my 6. In place of that x, I'm going to put that negative 7 we just solved for. Then it's plus my 9y equals negative 24. Okay? But y'all remember, you could have chose either equation. So now we'll solve this for the y. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply that 6 times negative 7. So that's going to give me what, a negative 42 plus my 9y equals negative 24. So y'all here, I'm wanting to get my 9y by itself over here. So the negative 42, we're going to add 42 to both sides. So that cancels. All that's left is my 9y. Ooh, let's see, 42, negative 24, that's what, a positive 18. Now to solve for my y, I'm just going to divide both sides by 9. So y'all, that cancels, giving me a 1y, and then 18 over 9 gives me 2. So I got both my variables solved for. Now, if you wanted to check it, put the negative 7 for the x, the 2 for the y. So you'd get negative 42 plus 18 equals negative 24, which is true. Now, remember, in MATLAB, it has to look like an ordered pair. So first I need my x, which was negative 7. My y was 2, and then close parentheses. So remember, I can't remember MATLAB. On some of them, it might give you the parentheses, but I'm pretty sure for the start, it's going to make you actually put them parentheses, okay? So y'all, not too bad if you can figure out what variable to eliminate, okay? So let's play with one that's maybe turned up a little bit here. So y'all, on this one, they want us to solve. So I got two equations, 11x plus 2y equals negative 13. I got a 2x minus a y equals negative 1. But y'all notice, if I add 11 and 2, I'm going to get 13. If I add 2 and negative 1, I get a 1. So I'm not eliminating anything at the moment. So what I got to pick is which one of these variables I think would be easiest to eliminate with the least amount of work. So y'all, I'm looking at these y's again. I got 2y here. This one's already negative. So if I multiply this y by 2, that would give me a 2y that's negative, and then I have my positive 2y. But remember, if I multiply this y by 2, I actually got to multiply this entire row by that 2. Okay, so I'm going to bring down my first row. 11x plus 2y equals negative 13. Now remember, right now we said we're going to what? Eliminate the y. Now, we're going to change the second row by multiplying by the 2. So y'all watch this. 2 times 2 gives me 4x. 2 times negative 1y gives me a negative 2y. And then 2 times that negative 1 gives me a negative 2. So when I change the second row, I multiply the entire row by 2. Okay, you just can't multiply the 2 and the y. You got to go all the way through. Because remember, what you do to one side of an equation, you got to do to the other side of it. Okay, I heard something, but I didn't hear the question. Did y'all not hear nothing?
I heard some, but I was going to ask a question. Did you choose 2 just because of the 2y?
Yeah, because since this was a positive 2y, I knew I could multiply this one by 2 to make it a negative 2. And then my y's would cancel pretty quick. If I'd have picked my x's, I'd have had to find the smallest number that 11 and 2 would have went into. Oh, that would have been what, like 22? Yeah. Almost like finding LCDs. So I'd have had to change both of them rows to get rid of the x's. Okay. So I always try to focus on what I think would be the least amount of work to get them to cancel. So now let's add these together and watch this. 11 and 4 give me what? 15 x's. My y's cancel. And then negative 13 and negative 2, like signs, we add them and keep them negative. So that gives me a negative 15. So I've eliminated the y. Now we're going to solve for that x. And remember, at this point, all you can do is divide. So let's divide by the 15. So y'all, the 15's cancel, giving me my 1x again. And what's that? Negative 15 and 15, we get a negative 1. So we now know our first variable will be a negative 1 on that final answer. So now that we know the x, I can come into either two of my original equations. In fact, if you like bigger numbers, you could use either one of these equations. It don't matter which equation we substitute it into, as long as we plug it into one of these two or one of these two. So y'all, I like to keep them sort of mellow. So my x is negative 1. So I'll probably just choose this second one this time, just to show y'all what to do when you got a negative y like that. So I'm going to back substitute. And like I said, I'm going to use the second equation. So I got 2 times x. Well, that's going to be 2 times negative 1 minus the y.
Hold on, Mr. Eugene. Is that a 1 under that 15x equals negative 15? And then you got solve for x. Is that 115?
Oh, no, that I just canceled them 15s, making that a 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because that's my whole goal, remember, to get that to be a 1x. So I was canceling my 15s out, but yeah, I can see where that would look tricky. So I'll try to write them where y'all can tell better. All right, so like I said, I plugged my negative 1 in for that x. So remember, the first thing you're going to do when you back substitute, you got to multiply the number by the x you put in, and then minus y equals negative 1. So y'all here, I got to get the negative y by itself. So we'll add our 2 to both sides. Now you got to be careful with signs. So the 2's will cancel. So bring down that negative y. And then a negative 1 plus 2 gives me 1. But y'all get a lot of people that forget this last step. I can't keep that y negative. I got to make it positive. So you got to treat that like a negative 1 and divide both sides by that negative 1. So that this cancels, making this a positive y. And then 1 divided by negative 1 gives me a negative 1. So it looks like both of my values were negative 1. Well, y'all, let's put a negative 1 in for the x. That gives me negative 11. Negative 1 for the y. That gives me negative 2. Negative 11 and negative 2 equal negative 13. So that would check out. Y'all, tell you the trick on these is figuring out the variable you want to eliminate and then keeping up with your signs as you're going through these, okay? All righty, y'all. So I'm going to show y'all now on the calculator. And then I'll do another one by hand, and we can check in on the calculator also. On the calculator, all I need is the numbers in front of my variables and my answer. So on the calculator, I'm going to use what we call a matrix. And to get to that matrix, you hit the second blue button and then that X negative 1 button. It's a button or two down below the blue one. When I hit second X negative 1, I'll go into my calculator and we'll go to edit. Now, when we go to edit, we're going to hit enter on edit. So let me pull my calculator up. So you see right under the math button, you got that X-1 button. But if you look above it, you got matrix in blue. So that means you got to hit the blue button to get that matrix to pull up. So I'm going to hit second, X-1. It pulls up. Remember, we're going to arrow right until we get to edit. Once edit is highlighted, we're going to hit enter. Now, first of all, we got to tell it what size is this system of equations. So the first number is how many rows are in the equation. How many rows of equation do we have? And it's always times the second number we put in will be the number of columns. So y'all, we had two equations, so we had two rows. So we would put in a 2, enter. Now we had the first row, the first column was the X numbers. Second column was the Y answers. And then the third column was our answers. So we had 3 columns. So for today's homework, you'll either have a 2x3 matrix for the calculator, or the ones I do later will be 3x4. But once you put in that 3, hit enter, and look what it did. It gave me 6 places where I'm going to put numbers. So I'm just going to go across, do my X first. So we had 11 X's. So we're going to punch 11 and enter. And y'all look at that. It puts the 11 right up in the first box. We had 2Y, so we're going to hit 2, enter. Notice I don't put the variables, only the numbers. And that first equation equaled -13, so I'm going to hit -13 and enter. So y'all notice I got the first row. First column was the X's, second column was the Y's, third column was the answer. So my second equation, I had 2X, so I'm going to do 2, enter. I had -Y, so remember that'll be a -1. And on these, you gotta hit enter, but you gotta use the negative button in the bottom on the parentheses and not the subtraction, okay? And then that first equation equaled -1 and enter. So hit enter after every number. So there we go, 11X, 2Y, -13. 2X, -Y, -1. Once we got this matrix edited like we want, we hit the second button, and then right to the right of that, it says mode. But if you look above, it says quit. So second mode to quit. But now, in our calculator, it knows what we put in for that matrix A. So y'all, the second step now. We want the calculator to do the work for us. So we're going to go back into the matrix stuff again by hitting second, X-1. Now see how I got my 2x3 matrix sitting there? That's the one we just put in. Now, if I want the calculator to do the math for me, you're going to arrow right to where math is highlighted. Once math is highlighted, arrow down through the list until we come to the one that says RREF. The one above it that says REF, it'll give you the answer of the last variable, but then you got to do the back substituting to get the other variables. I want it to do all the work. So go to RREF. Once you got that highlighted, hit enter. On your screen now, it tells excuse me. It's telling me it's going to do the RREF parentheses. In that parentheses, I now got to tell it what matrix to work on. So y'all, for the third time, hit second x negative 1. Because we need to go back into the matrix. Now notice, I've only got one matrix in here, which is A. So since it's highlighted on A already, I'm going to hit enter. So notice what it says. It says we're now going to reduce your matrix A. So y'all watch when I hit enter. On the right side, the top number is my x's because the 1 is in the x column. So if you go all the way right, it tells me x equals negative 1. On the second row, that 1 is where the y column is, and it's telling me that that y equals negative 1. So the right column gives you your answers in alphabetical order from your x to your y. So notice I got a negative 1 on that, just like we did by hand. So I think once y'all play with that calculator a little bit, you'll like that because it'll solve, woo, especially when we do the 3 ones coming up. All right, y'all, so I'm going to do this by hand and by calculator. So it'll be the last one I do of the 2 variables. Now, I will say this. You will have one with 2 variables where one of the equations is out of order. The first thing you got to make sure all the x's are in the first column, the y's in the second column, and all the answers on the right side, okay? But we did give you one where they're mixed up, so you'll have to play with that. But this one, I got a 4x plus 5y equals 64. So now, guess what? Y'all pick a variable you want to eliminate because it don't matter which one. They both got 4s and 5s. So I couldn't remember what I eliminate while ago. I think I eliminated the y on that first one, right?
The was.
So hell, this time let's eliminate the x. Yeah, it don't really matter on this one because they're both pretty much the same. Now, here's the thing. I got to find a number that 5 and 4 both go into, plus one of them's got to have to be negative. So it's almost like finding least common denominators.
20.
So 20 is what I need. So y'all, I'm going to multiply the first row by what, a 4? 4 times 5 will make that a 20x. The second row, what would y'all multiply this one by? Because that was going to give me a positive 20. So what are you going to multiply this 4 on this row by to make that one a
5.
Negative 5.
Yeah, negative. I forgot.
So definitely negative. There you go. So notice we have to change both rows. So we got to change both rows. Now remember, everybody's getting multiplied by 4 here. So 4 times 5 gives me 20x. 4 times 4 gives me a 16y. And then let's see, 4 times 62, I think that is what, 248. Now multiply this one by negative 5. So negative 5 and 4 give me a negative 20x. So that's perfect. Those are about to go. Negative 5 times 5 gives me a negative 25y. And then let's see, negative 5 times 64 is going to give me what, a negative 320. All right, y'all, look at that. Them X's now canceled like we wanted. 16 and negative 25. I think that's going to give me a negative 9y. Negative 320 and 248 gives me a negative 72. So y'all, what I'm doing, since I got unlike signs, I did 25 minus 16 gave me 9, and it stayed negative because the larger number was negative. And then here I did 320 minus 248 was 72, but it stayed negative since the larger number was negative. Y'all, we got one variable. So how about we solve for that y now? And to solve by that y, we're just going to divide both sides by that negative 9. So notice those cancel, giving me my 1y. Negative divided by negative will make this a positive. And y'all, what's that? 72 divided by 9 gives us an 8. So we now know y is 8. So we're going to plug into one of these equations and get what that x equals. So we're going to back substitute again. So I'm just going to use that first one. I got 5x plus 4 times my y, which is 8, is going to equal 62. So remember, you got to multiply the numbers first. So bring down your 5x. 4 times 8 is 32, all equal to my 62. All right, so now that I multiplied that and got me a number, I'm going to move the number to the other side by subtracting. So the 5x, 32's cancel. 62 minus 32, that's going to leave me a 30. And y'all look at that. My last step, and I'll have my x. I'll divide both sides by 5. So that cancels, giving me my 1x. And then 30 divided by 5 gives me a 6. So our answer, ordered pair, remember, will be a 6 for the x. And then an 8 for the y. So remember, these ordered pairs will always be in alphabetical order for us, okay? So y'all, let's try that on the calculator. So let me go bring that up. Calculator will be a little quicker than me, so let me clear that and then clear my screen. So it's still a 2 by 3, 2 rows by 3 columns. So remember, I'm going to go to second, x negative 1, go to edit, and hit enter. So it's still a 2 by 3, so I'm just going to hit enter on the 2, enter on the 3. Now I'm going to put in my numbers. We had a 5x, so that'll be a 5, enter. 4y will be 4, enter. And then 62 for the answer. Enter. Then I had a 4x, so 4, enter. 5y, so 5, enter. And that equaled 64, enter. So make sure all your numbers pop up into the main screen there. Now, we quit the screen by hitting the second button and the mode button right to the right of it. My calculator now thinks that that 2 by 3 matrix is those numbers we just put in. So now we'll go to second, x negative 1 for the matrix. We're going to go to math and then arrow down and get RREF and hit enter. All right, so I'm telling it to reduce my matrix now. So now remember, we got to go back and grab that matrix. So remember, for the third time, second, x negative 1, A is already highlighted for my 2x3 matrix, so I'm going to hit enter. So y'all remember, you got to do the second x negative 1 3 times. First time you edit, second time you're going after the RREF, third time you're going after the actual matrix. So y'all hit enter. Remember, I got a 6 and an 8 on this. And y'all look at that right column. Top number's the X, bottom number's the Y, 6 and 8.
So how do you clear out the first matrix? Because I still have the first problem on there.
Let me go back to my calculator. I didn't clear it, I just overrode my numbers. So if I went, so let's go to edit. So make sure you're on edit and hit enter. So mine was still a 2x3, so I just hit enter on the 2, enter on the 3. It'll go back through your 6 numbers. So remember a while ago, I can't remember what you had, but where it's blinking in the first spot, put your 5, enter, and it's going to change them as you go through. So then I did my 4 enter, 62 enter. Yeah. The only way to clear those is by clearing the memory, and that's, you don't have to. So did you get all your numbers?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
All righty. So now quit that screen, second mode. Go back to second x negative 1 and go to math. Remember, go down and grab that RREF. And then finally, go grab that matrix by going back into that matrix operation and hitting enter. And then enter to get our answer. All right, y'all. So I'm just going to write one down. I'm not going to work this one by hand. I'm just going to show you what I would do to this one if I was working it by hand or calculator. So y'all, let me see what this one had. So this one had 8x minus 9y equals 16.5. And we'll do this on the calculator. Then it has a 7y minus 2x equals a negative 6.5. So, and we'll work this one on a calculator. So, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Even before I turn that calculator on, what's the first thing y'all are doing to these equations? And y'all look at both of them rows.
Eliminating one.
Well, we're going
We
to
got to get them all lined up. The X's and the Y's.
Yeah, no, you look on the second row. I got a 7y under my 8x and a negative 2x under my 9y. So y'all, for the calculator or by hand, we need to get that second row in alphabetical order. Good job. So that'll be what? A negative 2x plus our 7y will equal negative 6.5. These are the numbers we want to put in the calculator. Now, I will say if I was doing this one by hand, I'd probably eliminate the x's and multiply this whole row by, say, a 4, right? Because negative 2 times 4 would make me a negative 8, and those would cancel. The y's, woo, I think you'd have to turn them into like 63 and negative 63, okay? So if you do it by hand, eliminate the x's on that one. But y'all, we're going to knock out that on the calculator because, you know, sometimes we don't like doing fractions and decimals. And I really want to get y'all good on my calculator. So I'm going to clear that screen. So now, second x negative 1, go to edit. On edit, hit enter. It's still a 2x3, so I'm going to hit enter on 2, enter on 3. So see, I still got my old numbers, but I'm about to change them. I'm going to put an 8 in for the x, enter. Negative 9 for the y, enter. 16.5 for that first answer, and enter. Then we had a -2. Remember, we had to put it in order. 7 for the y. And then a -6.5. And enter. So all my numbers are showing up on my screen up there. So quit the screen by hitting second mode. Go get your matrix, math operation, arrow down to RREF, and hit enter. All right, y'all, so I'm going to go grab my matrix by hitting second x -1 and enter. Now, you don't always have to use A. You could have used a B, C, any letter you wanted. But yeah, I always just use A and keep going. So if any of y'all done this and got me some answers. All right, so y'all gonna make me hit my enter button, right? All right, so if you did that correctly, you should have got a positive 1.5 and a negative 0.5. Now it'll take it like that, or you could have done, I think, on that one, what, 3/2 and -1/2. I think it'll take both of those. But I just write it like it give me. Just remember to put them in the ordered pair, okay? So I definitely don't mind my calculator when I'm doing decimals and fractions and stuff like that. All right, y'all. So now I'm going to solve systems with 3 variables. So I'll do one of these by hand, and then I'll show you how to do some of these on the calculator. Now, a little bit different than doing 2 variables. So let me write this first system. X plus Y plus Z equals 6. 2x plus 4y plus 2z equals 10. Now my third equation, -x plus 8y minus 3z equals -21. So y'all, to keep up with what I'm going to do, I'm going to label these equation 1, equation 2, and equation 3. Now, I got to eliminate the same variable twice. So I'm going to pick 2 equations, eliminate a variable. Then I got to use the other equation with either of the 2 I used the first time to eliminate that same variable. So if I'm looking through all these letters, what is the easiest variable to eliminate?
X.
X.
Definitely the x's. So y'all, we're going to eliminate the x. Now, remember, I can still change rows if I need to, okay? Now, what we're going to do, we got to do this first process twice because we got to turn this 3 rows and 4 columns into 2 rows with 3 columns like we've been doing, okay? So now, would y'all agree the first thing I can do is if I add the first row and the last row, that'll get rid of the x's as they look, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add 1 and 3 together. So make sure that's a 3. So I'm adding row 1 and add 3. So I got x plus y plus z equals 6, negative x plus 8y minus 3z equals a negative 21. But y'all look what happens. The x is eliminated. So 1 plus 8 give me 9y. 1 and negative 3 give me negative 2z. And then 6 and a negative 21 give us a negative 15. I'm now going to call this equation 4. So y'all, here's the thing. We now have to use the second row and get rid of the x variable again. So y'all, with the second row, you can either pick the first row or the third row to add to the second row. And it looks like y'all are going to have to change one of those rows. So y'all, this is on y'all. What row could I pick to add to the 2x row? And what would you do to make it to where it'll eliminate?
First row?
You say the third row?
No, I said the first row.
Okay, so the first row, I got a 2x. What can you do to that row to make that thing cancel?
Divide everything by 2.
Well, so here's, I might be confusing y'all. So I got a 2x here. The only way that I can cancel a 2x is to make this thing a negative 2x. So if I'm going to make that a negative 2x, we're going to multiply that whole row by a negative 2 this time. So we're going to change row 1 and add to row 2. Now, if I'd have picked this bottom row to eliminate that x, it's already negative. So I could have picked the third row and multiplied all these by what? A 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because 2 times negative 1 would have made that a negative 2x, and then it would have canceled. But since y'all picked 1, we're going with 1. Multiply everything by negative 2. You get a negative 2x minus 2y minus 2z. And then what? Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. So row 1 has now been changed by multiplying by that negative 2. Row 2, we didn't have to change. 2x plus 4y plus 2z equals 10. Oh, y'all did something cool to this one. What happens here?
The X and the
X
Z.
cancels out.
The x's and the z's canceled. Y'all, look what happened there. So now, negative 2 and 4 give me 2y. And y'all look at that. Negative 12 and 10 give me negative 2. Ooh, so by picking that top row like you did, you was able to eliminate 2 variables, right? So now notice. Now, y'all, it don't work out this way all the time. Sometimes you have a z left so that you have to put it with this row and then eliminate stuff. But y'all, the way y'all did that, 2y divided by 2 equals negative 2 divided by 2. That cancels, giving me my 1y. So I now know y equals negative 1. So since I know y equals negative 1, couldn't I back substitute into this equation and solve it for the z? So let's do that. Let's back substitute. So remember, if you know what one variable is, put it in the equation where you have 2 variables. So we know the y, we'll solve for the z. Now, if I know the y and the z, I can go to one of these equations and solve for that x finally. So this one has two places where you got to back substitute. So y'all gonna put -1 in for that y. So I got 9 times -1 minus 2z equals -15. All right, remember, multiply first. So I get -9 minus 2z equals -15. All right, we're going to get this by itself by adding our 9. So I get my -2z equals a -6. And y'all divide both sides by that -2. So I now have a 1z equals a +3. So I know y is -1, z is 3. So I'm just going to plug into this first equation and get my x. So I'm now going to back substitute again.
Okay, before you do that, Mr. Eugene, I'm still stuck on this top part right here. How did you get -12 go all the way back up?
Right here?
Where that y equals, yeah, how'd you get that?
Okay, so remember, since we was eliminating these, we took this row, we had to use this row this time, and we're eliminating that x. So y'all chose the first row for me. So to eliminate the x's, this had to be a -2x.
Right.
So I multiplied that -2 times everybody. So I got
Right.
-2x, -2y, -2z, and then -2 times that 6. Gave me. So remember,
Got it. Okay.
remember the golden rule. When I do to one side of an equation, I do to the other side, okay?
Okay.
All right, y'all, so let's see. I got an x. I don't know the x yet. I know y is -1. Z is a +3. And all those equal 6. But y'all, you could have used any one of these three, okay? So look here, when you got 3 variables on the last step, you're going to add those like terms. So -1 and 3 give me a 2 equal to my 6. And y'all final step, -2 minus 2. So x equals a +4. So remember, these answers are what we call ordered triple. Sort of like an ordered pair, but you got 3 of them. So put me in alphabetical order. So my x would be first, which was 4. My y was a -1. My z was a +3. All right, y'all, let's pay that on the calculator real quick. So remember, all I'm going to do is put in these numbers here. Now, first question. Let me clear all this out real quick. Remember, first thing we'll do, second x -1 to go to my matrix. Go to edit, because we're putting in our new matrix. So edit and enter. All right, y'all, how many rows?
3.
All right, so that's going to be 3 enter. How many columns?
3.
Oh, hold on.
Four.
Yeah, there you go, because you had the X column, the Y column, the Z's were in a column, and then those answers. So it's always going to be one bigger than it is rows, okay? So it's a 3x4. So when I hit enter, I just start punching in all my numbers. Now the dashes mean I'm going to be able to put numbers over there where the dashes are. So y'all, we had 1x, so that'd be 1 enter, 1y, enter, 1z, enter, equals 6. Enter. Then it goes down to the next row. So it wants me to put in a 2 for that x, a 4 for the y, a 2 for the z, and a 10 for that answer. Once I hit enter, it goes to the third row. Negative x is a -1. Enter. 8y would be 8. Enter. -3z will be -3. Enter. And then that answer was a -21. Enter. So make sure all your numbers are showing up in the screen up there. So now we get to quit because we got our matrix in there. So second mode will quit. Now we're going after the RREF. So second, x -1. Go over to math and then arrow down. RREF, hit enter. Now get the matrix by hitting second, x -1. So I always use A. So once I do this part, I just hit enter every time. All right, so remember, I'm looking for the right column to have a 4 on top, -1 in the middle, 3 on the bottom. So y'all, there you go. Since the one's in the X column, you get 4. The second row, the one's in the Y column, you get -1. And the third row, your one's in the Z column for 3.
So you telling us it's easier to do it like that?
On that calculator?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll do another one by hand just to show you one that yeah, y'all got lucky on that when it got me a variable that canceled pretty good. But sometimes life throws us a curveball. So let me see one of these. Oh, most of these ain't too bad. How about a 4x plus 3y plus a z equals 33. X minus 3y plus 2z is going to equal -3. And then my last one has 11x minus 2y plus 3z equals 60. All right, so remember row 1, row 2, and row 3. So y'all pick a variable to eliminate, and please don't pick the x's. The other two I don't mind.
I was gonna say 2 and 3.
So
Do
which
the
variable?
Y and Z's.
Oh, I hear y's. Is that what I'm hearing? Or z's?
You can do Y, Z.
Do the Y's.
Okay, so we're going to eliminate the y. So the first thing to eliminate y is, look at that. 1 and 2 cancel it really quick, right? Because you got a positive 3y and a negative 3y. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 and 2. So 1 was 4x plus 3y plus a z equaled 33. That was my 1. And 2, x minus 3y plus 2z equal -3. Now remember, once I add them, I'm going to call that my equation 4. All right, y'all. X plus 4x give me 5x's. But y'all did good. The y's canceled. But now you got 1z and 2z give me 3z. And then 33 minus 3 give me 30. So I got my equation 4. Now, since we used row 1 and 2, this time we have to use row 3. And we still got to eliminate the y. So y'all, you got 2's and 3's. no matter what, we're going to have to change 2 rows to get this number to eliminate. So I'm going to pick row 1 this time. I'm going to change row 1. And I'm going to change row 3. So I'm going to use row 1 and 3. I got a 3y here and a negative 2y here. So y'all, this is on y'all. What's the smallest number that I can turn this 3 and 2 into? That'll cancel. So what's the least common denominator between a 2 and a 3?
6.
6. So we're going to make these both be 6s. So check this out. You got a 3y here that's positive. So what am I going to multiply this whole row by?
-2.
Oh, it ain't even got to be. It ain't even got to be negative. Because see, this row's already negative.
Okay, just a +2.
A positive 2. So y'all will get an 8x plus 6y plus 2z equals 66. So we multiply that whole row by 2. So what do y'all think this third row I can multiply by? Because I got a -2 sitting on this row. And you want to make that one a -6 since you made this one a +6.
By 3.
So by 3, we're going to multiply that whole row by 3. So 3 times 11 gives me 33. Whoops, 33 x's. 3 times -2 give me my -6y. 3 times 3 gives me a +9z. All equal to 3 times 60. Woo, that's like 180. When I get done adding them, that'll be equation 5. Y'all look here. 8 plus 33, that's giving me 41 x's. But y'all did good. The y's canceled. 2 and 9 give me 11z. And y'all, let's see. 180 plus 66 is 246. So we still got x's and z's here, x's and z's here. So we're now going to put these 2 equations together. And then that was what? 41x plus 11z equals, 246. Remember, that was equation 4 and equation 5. So now it looks like the ones I started out in the very beginning doing, with 2 variables and 2 equations. So we turned our 3 by 4 into a 2 by 3. So y'all, out of these 2 variables, which one looks easier to eliminate? And hopefully y'all don't say these x's, okay?
The first one.
Yeah, so we're going to eliminate the z this time. So if I eliminate the z, you got a 3 and 11. What's the smallest number, or what's the LCD of a 3 and 11?
33.
33. So you're going to make one of these a positive 33. You're going to make one of these a negative 33. So we're going to change both rows again. We're going to change row 4 and change row 5. So let's keep this one positive 33. So if we want to make that a positive 33, we're going to multiply everybody by 11. So 11 times 5 gives us 55x. 11 times 3 gives me 33z. Woo, let's see, what's this? 11 times 30. That is 330. Now, Since that's a positive 33 on the first row, what can I multiply this row by to make that a negative 33?
3.
-3.
Negative 3. There you go. So remember, one's got to be positive. Make this one negative, okay? So, negative 3 times 41. Negative 123 x's. Negative 3 times 11 gives me my negative 33z. And then, y'all, that negative 3 times 246 gives us a negative 738. So we've changed our row 4 and row 5 so that z's will cancel. So y'all, let me see what I get. Negative 123 plus 55 on the x's gives me a negative 68x. The z's cancel. And then let's see what 330 minus the 738 gives us. That gives us a negative 408. All right, so we need to see if those divide. So we're going to divide both sides because now we're going to solve for the x. Y'all got me down to one variable. If I can now solve for the x, so divide both sides by negative 68. So that cancels, giving me my 1x. Ooh, y'all, that's going to be
-6.
What was it?
Positive 6.
-6.
Remember, two negatives make that a
Positive.
positive. All righty, so now we got one of these variables. We're going to back substitute into one of these two equations and solve for the z. Once I got the x and the z, I'll go back up top and substitute into one of those original three. So see, this is a little more tedious than that first one we did because y'all got lucky and eliminated two variables on that one step. But that don't happen every time. Sometimes you actually do got to come up with these two new equations and then solve this one down. All right, y'all. So what? X is 6. So I like these small numbers better. So I'm going to substitute into the 5x plus 3z equals 30. So I got 5 times my x, which is 6, plus 3z equals 30. All right, so remember, 5 times 6 is 30. Plus my 3z equals 30. Oh, y'all, look what happens here. I'm going to move the 30 by subtracting. But y'all, look, all I got left is 3z equals 0. So by default, there's only one number that z can equal. And if we divide both sides by 3, z, look at that, equals 0. So my x is 6, my z is 0. So I'm going to back substitute them, y'all, into one of my first three equations. And I'm going to pick that top one. So we're going to back substitute for the second time. So I know x was 6. So that's going to give me 4 times 6. I don't know what the y is yet, but I know my 0 was my z, and all this is going to equal 33. All right, y'all, so 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3y. Guess what? The 0's gone, right? That 0 ain't doing nothing for us, and all this is going to equal 33. All right, so I'm going to subtract 24 here. And y'all look at that. I get my 3y equals 9. Final step, divide by the 3. And y'all, y equals 3. So for our answer, ordered triple, we got a 6. We got a 3 for the y, and we had a 0 for the z. So let's see. 4 times 6 is 24. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 0. So 24 and 9 equals 33. So when you plug it in, it checks out. So we can accept our answer.
That's a lot.
So that's why I said you're going to want to get good on your calculator, right? Because some of these are long. But look, the calculator, all we got to do is be able to punch in these, 12 numbers? So let's go knock that out again, our calculator. So let me clear, and then clear this. So do y'all remember my steps now? First step is to go to matrix by hitting second x negative 1. I'm going to go to edit and then hit enter. And y'all, it's a 3 by 4 again, right? So just hit enter on the 3, enter on the 4. So I had 4x, so that's going to be 4 enter. 3y would be 3 enter. 1z would be 1 enter. And then that first answer was 33 enter. Second row, I had 1x, 1 enter. Negative 3 for the y, enter. 2 for the z, enter. And that answer was negative 3, enter. Last row, I had 11 x's, so 11 enter. Negative 2y, so negative 2 enter. 3z will be 3 enter. And then 60 for that answer and enter. Now, y'all, I will say this, if you don't have a calculator, there's I think it's called 84 calculator or calculator 84, someone told me, but you can get them in your Apple store or the Google store, okay? All right, y'all, remember, quit this screen by hitting second quit, because now my calculator knows that matrix A is that one we've been working on. So now we want the calculator to do its math. So hit second, x negative 1, arrow right to math. And y'all, what am I going down to look for?
RREF.
RREF. So mine is a B on mine. But remember, hit enter on that. So now remember, don't get the one that says REF. It don't reduce it far enough. Always get the RREF.
What is that spell?
That means reduced row. Now go get the matrix by hitting second, x negative 1. Mine's matrix A still, so I'm going to hit enter. And then I want to hit enter to get my answer. Remember, we got what? A 630. And y'all look at that right column. 630.
And you said that last action is second x negative 1 and then enter.
Yeah, because that's where your highlighted, your matrix is already highlighted.
Right. Yep.
So hit enter,
Okay.
that'll pull it on the screen, and then hit enter after that and be done. All right, y'all. So that's pretty much that section. So what I wanted to do was go through some of the type stuff you're going to see in the 3.6 support. That way we'll be able to come in and do 3.6 college algebra and our 3.7 college algebra on Wednesday night. And y'all, I just want y'all to translate this into an equation. A number or an expression. A number increased by 11. Now, let x be your variable for this. And so what would you write to represent a number increased by 11?
X plus 11.
X plus, you said 11, right? All right, so that sounds good for number one. A number increased by 11. I don't know that number, but I know it's being added to that 11. So increased always means plus. How about this? The quotient of a number and 2. So what does quotient mean?
Divide.
It means divide. So I don't know that number. So that'll be what? N divided by 2. Or MathLab might let you do the N divided by 2. I'm used to doing fractions because algebra, you want to get used to fractions instead of using that little thing. But yeah, it should take it either way. How about this? 24 less than some number. 24 less than some number. Now so on this one, let your variable be n. So I'm just going to try to use it.
24.
Oh, I think I heard you said n minus
24.
24. And they'll tell you when you're using different variables, they'll say, hey, let n be your number, let x be your number, or something like that, okay? All right, so y'all did good on that. I'm going to pull a tricky one out. 4 is about like the others, so I'm going to go to 5. 32 more than twice a number. X is your variable.
X times 2 plus 32.
Or can I just do 2x plus 32? Good job. Okay, because it's twice the number. That means sort of multiplying by 2, right? And then 32 more than was that added. Good job.
What is 32 more than twice?
All right, so I got one like that. How about this one? This would be like number 8. So 6 was 32 more than D. 8 was 8 less than B, sort of like those. How about this 8? Negative 34 multiplied by M. What would y'all write for that one?
M time. Oh,
So negative 34 multiplied by M. Oh, y'all, what about this?
is it M times parentheses negative 34?
But remember, since this is algebra, couldn't I just do this? Negative 34M?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, so we're just wanting y'all to get used to that lingo that when I got them next to each other, they're still being multiplied, okay? All right, y'all, so watch these last two. So the other ones are just doing that kind of stuff. Watch this number 9. Justin had $33 before spending $T on jeans. So the question is,
That'd be T
how
T minus-
much money remains? How would y'all write that out?
T
Yeah.
minus 33.
Minus T.
I think I heard you, but it was sort of staticky, Alex. Alexis, say that again.
33 minus T.
33 minus T.
Didn't
Oh,
ask
y'all
me
know.
what those means.
I'm going to switch over so I can do this last one. Might take a little more work here. But it was getting you ready for the stuff we did today that you're going to see on Wednesday. Because
I didn't catch that last part. Can you go back for a second?
uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't know if they was 33 minus T. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Because you started with $33, you spent T dollars, so to get your total would be 33 minus that T.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. So the last one of the day, the sum of two numbers is 3. The sum of two numbers is 3. So now watch this. 4 times the larger number plus 3 times the smaller number is 26. Guess what? They want us to find the numbers. So basically, they're giving me 2 sentences. So y'all, using X and Y's, how would you write this first sentence? The sum of two numbers is 3.
X plus Y equal 3.
X plus Y equals 3. So y'all remember, is means equals in math. So y'all, what I'm going to do is let the first row be my large number. The X's will be my smaller number, and then my answers. Knowing that, write this second row down. 4 times the larger number plus 3 times the smaller number is 26. How would y'all write that row?
4X plus 3Y equals 26.
Perfect. So y'all, look at that. We have a 2x3 equation, a set of equations. So y'all, pick one of them 2 variables to eliminate.
X.
X's. So y'all, we got a 4x here. So we're going to eliminate the x. So it looks like you want to change that first row. What will you multiply that first row by? To get rid of that positive 4x.
-4.
Negative 4. So we're going to multiply top row by -4. All right, so watch this. Negative 4x. -4 times 1 is a -4y. -4 times that 3 is a -12. So then bring down the other row, 4x plus 3y equals 26. So y'all, perfect. Look at that. The x's are canceled. Now be careful on signs. -4 and 3 give me a -y. 26 and -12, positive 14. But y'all remember, I got to make that y positive. So divide both sides by -1. So y'all got me to y equals a -14. So I'm just going to plug that in here and solve for this x. So I'm going to back substitute. So I got x plus my y, which is -14, equals 3. So y'all want to move to solve that, we're just going to add 14 to both sides. So that x equals a positive 17. So the first thing they're going to ask you, what is your larger number equal? So what's your larger number equal?
17.
17. And then your smaller number
-14.
is a -14. So you're going to find your 2 numbers. This was just getting you ready for those 2x3 type equations that we're going to do Wednesday. We'll start out doing word problems, okay? So just remember them words they was hitting us with: increased, quotient, twice, all that fun stuff, okay? Alrighty, y'all. So I'm gonna stop my share. That is 3-5 college algebra, 3-6 support. Okay. So stay on pace with us, knock those two out, and then Wednesday, like I said, 3-6 is not a lot of problems, but it's sort of like doing word problems. And then 3-7 is dealing with systems of inequalities, the greater than, less than. And they're not bad, and it's pretty quick. So Wednesday shouldn't be that bad on us, okay? All right, so y'all did good. Y'all picked some of the stuff I would have picked on those to get them eliminated, okay? And also remember, calculator can do the 2 variables and it can do the 3 variables for you, okay? If you want to at least check yourself out before you put them answers in Math Lab or something. All right, so I'm going to stop this recording. That way it'll start uploading to the cloud.